welcome to the Empathizing Show. This is episode 86 of the program. This is not a mullet. This is just how my hair naturally grows. My hair naturally grows longer in the back first, and then the rest comes in. The back is always longer than the front. So I have a natural mullet. I don't know what you call that. It's a natural one, though. It's like being a natural blind, except for when it comes to being a little bit of a redneck. I am a redneck, not really. See, that's why I hesitate to say that phrase, because it's a mean, slanderous slang word for whites, for white people from the southern Bible Belt of the beautiful United States of not Europe. And anyway, so I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background on why my hair's so long in the back. It's because it grows that way. It's not because I went to the barber shop and said, hey, I want to look like a redneck. You can't pronounce a CH at the end because that's how it should fit. You got to say redneck. I'm a redneck. It's the neck. It's the harsh CH sound at the end that offends. Redness. It's like retard. You gotta say it without the hard R. People, is that what they say? They say tard. They just go, he's a little bit tarded. He's a little bit of a tardo. The hard R is what offends retards. Actually, that's what I mean. Don't say with the hard E. That's what sounds offensive. When you say a retard, that's offensive. But if you just say retard, that's like, oh, I'm driving a truck. Let me pull down the lever. Let me pull down the retarder. The tardo lever. I don't know. Because you could say retard, but if you say retard, you're kind of being a douche. But if you say retard, that just means, okay, something's slowing down. Like if you say, we gotta retard the taxes on the rich people because they're paying too much taxes. The rich people are paying too much. I don't need the headphones, I kind of like showing off the mullet. And now that I got the mullet going in full glory, I'm past the awkward stage of where I just have kind of long hair. Now I got a full-fledged look going with the mustache and the soul patch, so I might as well let my freak flag fly because it doesn't look that good, man. It doesn't look like it looks very. That's why I wear the headphones. That's why I wear the headphones, because it kind of hides how ridiculous it looks. Man, they did not look. Nobody that has like hair like this, man. Man. Like, what is this? Even the Beatles, they got a haircut after it got this long. Before it got this long, to be a little bit more, matter of fact, they got a haircut before it even got this long. This is not even appropriate if you're in the Beatles. And last time I checked, I am not in the Beatles, and I check all the time. Am I in the Beatles? Wait, was that me? Am I still in the Beatles, or I was never in the Beatles? That's a question that I ask myself 1,000 times a year. It's like, okay, I'm not in the Beatles, so that rules out a lot of things I can't do anymore. I would like to be doing. I'm not on the Beatles. Also, I was never in the Beatles. Why is that a question that I ask yourself so often? Well, because you never know. How many lifetimes have you lived? A lot. Most people have lived 1,000 lifetimes before they're in this one. This body is just one container for the soul. Speaking of souls, by the way, thank you for tuning into the show, Graham. We've been doing this a while. I'm very naturally gifted. Well, not naturally gifted. I'm very used to being good at this because I've been good at it since I first started. But now I'm so good at it that I'm making it look that anybody could just do this, and yeah. Anyway, but thanks for watching. I'm very nice and likable to the audience, because see, a lot of YouTubers, they smile, they talk in a nice soft voice to their audience because they care about the end result of the person. They care about the person watching. And that's like, why would you? Okay, that's like work. So you're just doing that as a job. So you have a little job where you smile like, okay, hey guys, thanks for watching my channel. I love that you guys are here. Anyway, today I'm going to teach you how to string a guitar from the Baroque period. If you're into, hey, if you happen to be in the 1600s and you have a Baroque guitar, which is the only guitar that exists, because it's this 1600s, we just call them guitars. Here's how you string a new one. First you have to kill a horse. You have to kill a horse and then extract his gelatin from its hooves. You boil it in a cauldron for about 4 hours. Then you skim off the top. Then you mold that into fiber. Now you mold that into like a thing in the nylon. I don't know where they got strings in the 1916s. I don't know where they got strings. But anyway, YouTubers, they're like, okay, here's the point of this video. The whole point of this video is something that you actually searched for and are like you actually want to know what that's like most YouTube videos are like that. It's like, okay, how do I use this plugin? What's the short, what's an easy way to do this thing that I want to do in this program? You just look that up, and then it skips to the part that you actually want to see. And then you're like, okay, I got it. And then you click out of it, and you never see that person again. That's what most YouTubers do. They go, I'm going to solve a problem for people. Random people on there that don't care about me. But if you do it enough, they will start caring about you for some weird reason. Like if you're just a YouTuber that just puts out like, okay, here's a music theory course. Here's a bunch of songs. Like if you do things in a series, people will initially click on you just for your content. But as you slowly develop and as they get used to you, they will grow this relationship, I forget the word for it, but they like you. They decide that, okay, I like him for more than just his content. I like him now as a person because of his content. Because it's like all of a sudden, I don't do that. I don't give a crap about content. I'm only a person. And I don't care if you like me. I don't care. Not you personally, the person, that is watching. See, that's the thing. I don't try to be likable, and that's my niche, is that I don't have a niche, and that it's bad. So I'm like I'm like an anti-hero of YouTube. So anyway, that's what I got started talking about, and I don't know why I'm going there. I don't know why I'm lingering on there, but I'm done talking about that. So can we move on? I don't have a niche. This is not a video that's going to be like dissected and cut up and promoted for CEO purposes, so you could Google, how do I tune a ukulele? That's so boring. Like, why would I want to be the guy who tells you how to tune a ukulele? Like, it's not hard to tune a ukulele. Or to string a ukulele. I looked up how to string a ukulele because I got all these ukuleles, and I had to restring them. And it's not that simple. Stringing a guitar that's like a modern built guitar with like an electric guitar, that's easy. But with the ukuleles, you gotta actually like tie knots at the bottom of the thing so it clings on for dear life to this wooden bridge, and it's just held on by these pins that just pop over the string, and they hold the string with friction. These little pins, these plastic pins on the bridge, they just poke through holes, and they hold the string with huge amount of force with friction. So as you're winding the thing, tightening it up to the high E, it's gonna pop off if it's an old instrument. That's what happened with this thing right behind me. The E string I was tuning it, and the pin just kept popping off and flying across the room. And it's like the knot was big enough to hold on to it. It's the problem is there's not enough friction because it's old. So that's why you shouldn't really buy an old instrument if you plan on using it. Anyway, but I got it. I solved the problem by tuning it down a semitone so it's not at concert, it's not at the standard tuning for that instrument. It's supposed to be like a guitar. It's supposed to be the top 4 strings of a guitar. Okay, this is boring. But the point is, that took like a long time, man. I think I put like an hour into just tuning that thing and stringing it with the tuning. There's another thing. Okay, I guess I could talk about this for a lot longer, and this is really not what this podcast is about. This podcast is not about the struggle of tuning an old ukulele that nobody cares about. It's not even like the kind that most people have. It's the kind that has friction tuners as well. Before gears were invented, they just used friction to hold the tuning pegs in place. So to keep the thing in tune, you just have to screw this screw into the back of the tuning peg and just hope that it stays. And then if it goes out of tune, you have to unscrew it and make your pitch adjustment, then tighten it again all the way. So you need a screwdriver near you, and it goes out of tune. But if you have it at a lower than standard tuning, like I do, I have it a semitone down. So it's instead of at D, it's at D flat. And all the strings are it still sounds the same. It's in tune with itself, but all the strings are 2.5 a pitch down. So 1 pitch down, half a step down. Tone, it is 1 tone down. There's only 12 tones in the universe. And that's racist to microtonality cultures that believe in that. But that's my reaction whenever someone calls me racist. I just go, is it though? That's my reaction. I just go like that, like Wario. I look with this mustache, with this evil mustache and mullet. I just have a natural look about me that's like it's like, you think I'm going to defend myself when somebody calls me that? I'm going to be like, and you could get out of any accusation with that phrase. Well, with that attitude. It's about the way that you deliver it. You got to look like you really don't give a crap. You can't show fear. You don't even act like you're on trial. Like, it's like with cops. But anyway, forget that. We're not talking about that right now. That's for later in the sode. It's very early in the sode right now. So anyway, the ukulele, you gotta hope that it stays in tune. It's in tune with itself. It's a cool sounding. I like it because it only has 4 strings, and so it's easy. You know, anybody could literally. If you can't teach yourself how to play that thing, you're dumb, because it's like the easiest form of stringed instrument pretty much to play, you know? Like, and it's so, like, it has wide frets, so it's not like a tiny soprano ukulele. Anyway, it's enough ukulele talk. I gotta talk about ukuleles the whole time, but this is not that type of channel. That's what the episode's about. Every episode, I kind of talk about different things, and sometimes I bring it back, but, like, this is a very, like, you know, I don't know, see, is it though? Is it esoteric? That's how you get out of that. If somebody tells you if somebody accuses you of being esoteric, just be like, is it though? That takes a lot of work going like that. Like, I'm not on trial here, so, like, nobody's, like, forcing me to, like, make that noise. You know, I gotta conserve my energy for when I am on trial. If somebody says, hey man, where were you at this time? Where were you on the night of the 14th June of 1998? I was like, what's that? No, is it not? No, that doesn't make sense. You can't get out of that type of question. You can't get out of a where question. You can only get out of a what question. You could be like, are you, like, you could be like, what are you? No, it's like a is or is not question, you know? So if somebody says, are you gay? You could be, is it though? I don't know. It only works with is it though. I don't want to be like, am I? Because it's not, doesn't roll off the tongue. So let's go back. Let's go back a few notches. So the guitar and the so the reason I'm into ukuleles is because you could play these things without moving, like without doing anything. It's the easiest type of guitar to play. It's a guitar. I mean, I don't really mince words. Like, I do mince words. I'm doing it right now. I'm kind of using the wrong word for something. So I guess that is kind of what mincing words. I am mincing words, so I do mince words. And I'm kind of standing on the hillside that says, you know what? Am I going to die on this hill? I don't know. But ukulele, it's a guitar. It's just a smaller guitar with less strings. Fewer strings. To be correct grammatically, which we try to be as much as possible. We don't purposely go out of grammar. We only do it accidentally. Okay. Let's stay at one time. I have ADHD, and that's why I'm like this, and yes, that is an excuse, and that's why I brought it up. I mean, is that a not valid excuse for why I'm kind of going all over the place? Yeah. So I'm going to use that card anytime, and everybody else is doing that too? Well, they're not my problem. It's like autism. Everybody has autism, and that's their excuse for why they're awkward and can't look people in the, like, you know, any excuse that would be used for. Yeah, I don't care. I'm a millennial. I use excuses to excuse myself for when I'm not carrying my weight, that I'm going to continue to do that because I'm a millennial. I was alive during the millennium. I remember 9/11. I was not old enough to care, you know? I was like, you know, not old enough to care about the gravity of the situation. Now I am. Now I watch back news footage about it and I go, holy crap, this is a big deal. But even the news people were very nonchalant. Like, if you watch the Katie Couric, she had no soul. Like, when she was talking, I don't know if she was just being a professional, like, because obviously she is. You have to be kind of soulless to be that professional of a newscaster. But the way she was talking about this thing, she was like, well, we're going to go back and see if anything happened. Okay, well, we're just getting word that a plane also hit the Pentagon. Okay, so we're going to go to you. How you up? I'm sorry to cut you. Yeah, well, this will be a historic day. Oh, and the stock market is closed, by the way. We know that y'all care about that way more than these stupid buildings. The stock market is closed today, and George Bush, he's at a school. I guess that'll be, anyway, it's just the way she was talking about, very, like, non-emotional. She seemed like it didn't really, like, she didn't have, like, she wasn't, like, in shock. But that's the skill you need to have as a female newscaster, because if you're, like, most women are emotional. So, like, that goes to show she's very anti-woman on top of being a psychopath. I was going to say sociopath, and I was going to say psychopath, and I combined them. So anyway, back to what I was talking about. The ukuleles, they're guitars. Ukulele is just a pretentious way to say small guitar. Somebody hands you a ukulele and you were expecting a guitar and you complain. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I gave you something that's easier to play. You're going to complain. Like if Steve Vai is at your party and you ask him to play guitar, he's like, yeah, sure. And he sits down and he doesn't have his. So you go, give me a guitar. And you go to your back room and you come out with a ukulele and you give it to Steve Vai. What is he going to come? He's going to be like, oh, I can't play this. It doesn't have one of those holes in it that you could carry it with for some reason, that's my signature Ibanez. For some reason, my signature Ibanez is that one with the hole that you could put your fingers through, which is the most weird-looking guitar. It's kind of cool that it has a hole in it, but it's like, where you going? They gotta hold it, like you gotta carry your guitar through. You gotta put your finger holes. You gotta put your finger hole. What is it? A bowling ball? What kind of guitar has finger holes going all the way through the thing? But anyway, but Steve Vai's like, what is this? What, he's gonna get mad? It's a ukulele, yeah, but it has strings on it and it has frets. You could play chords. You could solo on it. We can complain. Oh, it's nylon. Sorry, it's not made out of silver. Anyway, so the point I bring it up, the reason I bring this up, is because I'm very into guitars, but not the part where you actually have to sit down and hold them on your lap, because they're heavy and they're big and kind of awkward. I got this electric one, and it's heavy as hell, and I haven't played it in like a year. And I got it on my lap, and it's like, this is how heavy these things are? That's so unnecessary. They're unnecessarily heavy. So I get maybe why he likes the one with the hole in the middle of the thing. Because it takes some weight off of it. And like, in practicality, if you're actually a good guitarist, who wants to lug around a 30-pound piece of furniture? So that's why I like ukes. Because they weigh like they're nothing. They're so light that you feel you can just snap it in half. And you can. They're very easy to destroy. You know, acoustic guitars, some of those are heavy too, and they're bulky. So I don't like acoustics. Those are, unless they're the very old-fashioned kind that weigh nothing. The super lightweight kind that were made back in the day when they knew how to make stuff, and they just add unnecessary weight to the headstock. Like the headstock's like, it's not balanced, you know? So anyway, that's why I like ukuleles, because I like guitar. I like playing guitar, but I don't like playing guitar. I want it to be like this, not like this, you know? Like, that's too much work. I like just this, you know, this. So, and it's the same, you know, it sounds horrible. It doesn't sound anywhere near as good as a guitar. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds it's like shrill. It's a very shrill, you know, but it's just fun to play just for the purpose of like practice. Like, it's a good songwriting tool, or just like for jamming. It's a good way to think of like what chords sound cool together. And then you could play it on anything. You play a guitar, harpsichord, piano. Piano is probably the laziest instrument, because you just reach out, boom. You just reach out your hand, boom, that's the chord I want. Oh, and then you move a couple centimeters to the left, boom, totally different chord. All you do is move a couple centimeters. But you do have to kind of get out of bed to play piano. It's hard to play piano from in bed, you know, because you gotta reach your arm. Ukulele, you can just play in bed. So any instrument that you can't play in bed is out for me. There's many others that you can play in bed. You can play recorder, you know, pan flute. So anyway, I like ukuleles because of what I just said. And I don't know why. I guess I could just move on. So I had to tune them, and they're very difficult to tune the older they are. So don't get old ones unless you like to collect them. And because they look cool. But anyway, in guns, I like collecting guns. So basically the reason I bring that up is because if you try to rob me, because I just mentioned how I have these ukuleles. If you try to rob me, I also have a big gun collection, and they're always loaded and near me at all times. So I could just kill people. Like, basically, you're asking to get shot. And I never leave the house. I'm here 24/7, you know? And I have a good alarm system that it arms me. It's always armed. And it tells me, hey, get armed if you're not armed. Like, I'm always somewhat armed. In the shower, that's when it gets difficult. Like, I got a shower holster, so there's always, like, a gun in the shower. I never have to, like, open the curtain to arm myself. There's always, like, obviously I got a shower holster. But that's when it gets awkward because it might get a little slippery. So that's why I also make sure to have a lightweight gun. That's not going to like shift my weight as I'm running. It's a balanced weapon. Same with the instruments that I'm talking about. They're very balanced and lightweight. And they're always loaded. And I'm just waiting for a reason to kill somebody. Legally. Like everybody, most people are who have guns in their home for home defense. They kind of fantasize about when they're going to finally get to show somebody who's boss. Thank God I live in a place that guns are common. You know, man, guns are common. But I did see that. We all saw this video of not ukuleles, but somebody shooting a guy with a ukulele. No, that has nothing to do with ukuleles. I just wanted to see if I could connect it. There's no connection. I don't have a family to defend. I have ukuleles to defend. So anyway, we all saw this viral video of this guy in Dallas who did successfully shoot at a would-be burglar, but they didn't hit the guy. And the guy shot back too. So like, it's not that easy, man. Even if you are armed and ready to kill a burglar, and it's like the perfect opportunity, like you have checked all the boxes. Like, you know it's a burglar because they're kicking down your door or trying to. And you're armed, and like that's like a lot of, you got to be in the right place for that. So anyway, they didn't even get to kill the guy. They didn't even get to have the satisfaction of like at least maiming him. Like, I don't need to kill somebody. Like, killing somebody, because once they're dead, it's like, okay, now they don't know. There's nothing. The lesson is over. They didn't learn anything because they already died. I like to keep people alive, but maimed. You know, because then they get to feel the lesson for a long time, not just for 5 seconds. It's like, okay, whoopee, you killed somebody. No, I want them to learn a lesson. But anyway, we all saw that video, and that happened in Texas. But it happened in an apartment complex, and maybe people think that, oh, these are liberals that live in apartments, but not that apartment complex. And but also they thought they were not home. They baited the burglar, and I think that could hold up in court as a defense on the burglar and an offense on the guy. Like, that's grounds for like a lawsuit because they said they weren't home. So I wouldn't have robbed you if you didn't say you weren't home. So you kind of lured me in. You kind of, like anybody would break in if they found out you weren't. I was literally just surveying to see if you needed a filter change in your AC. So you can't say that that's not a valid reason to kick the door down. Anybody would kick a door down if they find out it's not. It's like, so anyway, that's stupid that he said that he wasn't home, but then they would have probably tried again another day. So I don't know. That sucks. If somebody is casing you for a burglary, what do you, like, eventually something's going to happen. Either they're going to try to break in or they're going to give up for some reason. No, they're not going to give up. They're going to be like, okay, wait for a time. If they decide it's a good target, it's a matter of time before they try to break in. So they're going to find out, they're going to try to check if they're home or not. So what do you do if you hear them pounding or just knocking or whatever? What do you do? Just let it go? Or do you tell them you're not home? Or do you just wait for them to try to do so? I don't know. I think the best course of action, because I'm in the position where I of course, if I get luck, hopefully someday I'll be in this position where I get to decide what I'm going to do, like how to kill, like when to defend myself, or how to go about it. Because like, what do they say? Is there like a law? Is there like a rule of thumb? Shoot first, ask questions later. Because some people say, okay, just get a shotgun and then pull the rack to make that sound, to scare them away with the sound of the rack. I don't know if they're really going to hear it, though, because it's not that loud to go through the door. So if that doesn't work, also, you can only do that after you've done, after you've shot one. Racking a shotgun, all that does is remove the case that's in there. It doesn't load it. It doesn't, like, arm it. It's already armed. Like, you put the thing in there. Okay, I don't know how shotguns work. I don't know. I've never fired a shotgun, but I know that racking it is not necessary. You could just put it right into the chamber. Racking it just removes the spent one. Or no, it doesn't fly out. Yeah, I don't know how shotguns work or pump action shotguns work. I think it does chamber the next round, but in shooting it expels the case. Yeah, I guess I don't know, but I'll find out. I mean, I know how to shoot one. I know that you put it like... Okay, I'm wrong. Pumping it does chamber the next round, but if there's one already in there, you've just wasted a round. I don't know. So anyway, I think it's better to just shoot first, and then also, would it go through the door? Probably, like, it's got to be very powerful of a weapon. If it's birdshot, it's not going to go through the door. If you're using a slug, that'll probably put a huge hole in the door. If you're using, like, double-aught, whatever, I forgot what it's called, just double-aught, something or other, which is good for home defense. That's like pretty big balls of steel, but not a slug. A slug is if you just completely want to destroy somebody and kill them in a very violent, like blow a huge hole in their head. If you just want to kill them, but not in a way that's going to leave them in two pieces, you just use this Buckeye that I have ready to go at all times. So anyway, I know how to shoot somebody. Like, that's easy. It's easier than stringing a guitar. So anyway, what else? Why did I bring this? So anyway, if someone was like banging on my door, I don't even know if I would respond, because then they would know where I'm at in the house. Like, if they're already trying to break in, the problem is you got to make sure it's not the police. So that's why you need a good camera system. So, okay, let's say I see it on camera. I know it's not a cop, at least not one in uniform, and they're about to break in. Yeah, I would just shoot through the door a bunch of times until I run out of ammo or the threat stops. But you gotta make sure that it's like a criminal. I don't know. It'd probably be a criminal. Like, if they're like actually trying to like break in, or if they just come through the window, which would be a lot easier. I don't know why they'd break through the door. Like, just break a window. It's nothing. I'd be like, yeah, you're dead. Like, it's like, I hate to say it, but like, you could make threats, but like, why would they be unarmed too? They'd be so dumb of them to just be unarmed. So you gotta assume that they're armed. So if you add that to the mathematical equation, you're in the right to just kind of use deadly force the second somebody breaches your property premise. Yeah, when they enter the premises and they don't look like a innocent party and not a police officer. Even if they are police, that's on them for not announcing themselves. So you're kind of in the right to just use deadly force. So anyway, it's all something we fantasize about, but I don't know if I am looking forward to it happen. Like right now, I don't want to do that. It would make good for a pod. It'd be great for the pod. But you don't want to like lure people in by saying you're not home. Anyway, but we're in desperate times. The economy is in desperate times. So like, there's a lot of people that are desperate for wealth and high value items to get into their livelihood, so they could sell it and have a better quality of life, or just buy drugs. That's the same thing. I mean, better quality of life is always to be on the drugs than to need them and not have them. I feel bad for those people. But also, I have zero like empathy for those people. Like homeless people. This is a universal fact about humanity. Is like we don't really have empathy for people that are addicted to drugs and don't have access to the drugs that they're addicted to. And I don't know why that is. It's just something about it. It's like we don't find that like wholesome or like an earnest thing to pay them, to give them free money for. It's like, so that's why you always ask homeless people, it's like, you're not going to use it for drugs. It's like, yeah, they are. I mean, then don't give homeless people money if you're worried about that, because it's kind of why they're homeless. It's like, or they just have schizophrenia or some other mental illness. And I don't really buy that. I mean, I guess there's a cohort of homeless people that are just mentally ill, like no drugs. And you might as well do the drugs. Like you're already seen as an equal to those people. You might as well join them, right? I mean, also, your quality of life will go up dramatically. If you have schizophrenia, you might as well take heroin because it'll calm the voices. You don't want to take meth. If you have schizophrenia, I don't think meth or speed or any stimulant, it's going to only be meth, right? I mean, what stimulants are homeless people doing besides meth? Like, because everything else is expensive, man. All the good stimulants are expensive. Meth is very cheap. Nobody ever complains about like the cost of meth. It's the consequences that they complain about. No one's ever says, "Oh man, I spent 50 grand on meth this month." Like, well, you mean a meth operation? Like, did you go in business with a cartel? Did you start your own supply chain for the whole state of Oklahoma? Because that's a lot of, that's like enough for like a freaking lifespan. 50K of meth. I don't get how Walter White made any money selling meth. It's like the most abundant drug that is so easy to get and it lasts forever. You could buy like a bathtub full. You buy it by the tote. You don't buy it by the gram. Oh, I got a gram. How much for a key of meth? No, you buy it by the tub. You buy it by like at least the kilo. Who just has a couple of rocks of meth? It's like pocket change. I mean, it would last a while too. That's the thing. It's the most cost-efficient drug. That's not the problem. It's the consequences that it gets you. It just makes you thirsty because it gives you dry mouth, and you tend to lose your job because who wants to work a job when you're on meth? Some jobs I'm sure you could do perfectly fine on meth. I have no problem with people that work a steady job in like a craft, like maybe they fix cars while completely souped up on meth. As long as they do a good job and don't forget anything important while hey, I don't got a problem with meth. Meth is probably the least harmful drug, now that I think about it. All it does is make you stay up a long time and get into a bunch of degenerate, like it makes you want to jerk off a lot and stay in seedy places with seedy people. But what else? What's the problem? It makes you more talkative, makes you more able to move around and lift heavy objects. Like, so I don't really see a problem. And it lasts forever? So I don't really see a problem with it. There's worse drugs, like crack. Okay, that's the one I should have said. That's the one that is not that cheap. And they do it on the street, though. So, like, that sucks. I don't know how much it costs, but it's cocaine. So that means it probably costs a lot because it only lasts about 5 to 10 minutes. So you're screwed if you're a crackhead. So you should switch to meth. But everybody's drug of choice is different. You can't just change overnight. Okay, I guess I'll switch to meth. Because that's stigmatized more than crack. Like, crack is a cool drug because It's more popularized in the hip hop community, and by that I just mean black people. There's not actually any like hip hop about crack at all. But I'm just trying to dance around what I really want to say is that it's a black drug. You know, there's some white people that do it, and we all think they're kind of cool because compared to meth because of the association with blacks. So we think so. There's a stigma to switching to meth. Like if you're a cool black guy that is known for being a crackhead, and all of a sudden you're smoking meth, people are gonna look down on you. If you're a meth head that graduates to crack, you're a pimp. You must be. That's an upgrade. Like now you must be like very successful selling products like human trafficking or sex trafficking. You must have a really good handle on that if you could afford crack. So anyway, I don't know. And then sex trafficking is a very like, people talk bad about it for some reason, even though pimps were all the bang. Everybody wanted to be a pimp in the 2000s. What happened to that? I guess sex trafficking became unpopular because it became like a thing that rich people were doing. So it's no longer cool. But back in the day, I remember, like pimp was used as like a term in rap music. It's like big pimpin'. That was seen as like a cool thing to do, was to be a pimp. But now it's like, oh, you're a sex trafficker. That's not as cool of a term for it. And there's nothing wrong with sex trafficking as long as it's not like forced sex trafficking, like the Andrew Tate style. Andrew Tate's form of sex trafficking, which we all heard the news about, is that he's a sex trafficker, and once that label is thrown upon you by New York Times or some credible news outfit, it's over. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. Who cares? He's the worst. He's like not a pimp. He's like the guy that does it by putting a gun to their head or saying that they're going to kill their family if they have a family. You know, they make threats to force them into sex. That's the uncool kind, the kind that Andrew Tate, as we all know for a fact, does. Despite the lack of evidence, like, I don't know, not to defend Andrew Tate, but like, there's no, it's just like what he was accused of by, I don't know who even accused him. That's how, like, you gotta dig, even to just find that information, you gotta like dig deep. But like, it's what we've all heard about him. It's what all the left-wing YouTubers say. It's like what all these people that don't like him say about. So therefore, it's true. And it doesn't even matter at this point because he's already been accused of it. So anyway, he's not a pimp. He's the bad kind. I'm talking about the good kind of sex trafficking. Like what's... Oh, you hurt... Like, whoa. You don't even have to, like, use the defense mechanism. You don't have to be like, is it sex trafficking? Oh, I'm a sex trafficker. Oh, am I? Is it sex trafficking? You don't even have to do that. You can just be like, well, and? You'd be like, mind your own. You don't even have to respond. You just be like, you just like give him a weird look. Like, even that is a lot. You can just be like barely look at them and then move on with your day. You know, like if you're forced to be around these people that are accusing you of sex trafficking, why even respond? Just be like, okay, I'm not criticizing whatever. I don't even know you. I don't care what you do for a living. And if you like, just say like, even if at most just say yeah, and I'm not Jeffrey Epstein. Like, I'm not doing the bad kind. I'm doing the volunteer kind of sex trafficking. They signed up. It's a very exclusive firm. Like my firm or fashion line of sex, like whatever you call it, my outfit is very hard to get into. It's like a what do you call it? It's like a improv group. It's like being passed at an improv school to be like on the main stage of Second City. It's very hard to get into my sex trafficking business agency. So, yeah, we don't even take applications most of the time. You gotta like audition. Like we usually go to you. You'll hear from us. We don't even have a phone number. Like we have a phone number, but like all you'll get is like you'll get hung up on basically if you ask for an application to just be in my sex work agency. It's insane. The word traffic is what kind of gets people on edge. It's like, traffic, because that's like now like a hot button terminology for, human trafficking. And that's the difference. It's like we're not human trafficking. We're selling sex. Yeah, we're not selling people against their will. Yeah, we're selling time with those people, but they choose when to clock in. Don't force them, Sometimes we pressure them to take on more work. We we give them bonuses for going with uglier guys, uggos. Obviously, we give them like paid bonuses if they fuck super ugly men. And we give them like holiday bonuses, but that is not the same as what Epstein did. So I'm not even in the same prison cell as him. I would be looked at as like an angel. It's not even that illegal. And there's not even a stigma anymore. As long as you know that that's what it is. Yeah, I'm the leader of a sex work agency, not a pimp. Technically I'm a pimp, but I'm not like the stereotypical, like, I'm going to slap that hoe. Like I don't think I've ever even thought of like slapping a hoe. Like obviously I've gotten in like somewhat dicey situations with them, but it's usually me just like, because some of them could be pretty dangerous women when they're on meth. We don't work with those anymore. Like you gotta only be on crack these days to work with me. You gotta be on like expensive drugs that you can't just run out in 2 seconds. Like meth, you're always gonna be on meth because you never run out. But these high class women on crack, they need a lot of income to afford that habit, because that habit costs like, it costs like up to high 4 figures a day. We're talking like $7,000 in one day if you really enjoy it. So I don't look down on that at all. I mean, I'm supplying good money to these women because they fuck the ugliest men. They fucked it. Do I gotta say it again? They fucked the ugliest men, the ones that I employ. Sex trafficking is just a nasty word for providing a high-quality service to men that need sex, that need quality time with beautiful women. I also employ men for men, not for women. Women don't go to whores. Women don't go to whores, and the ones that do, most of them will just take a woman because it's like, yeah, I'd rather fuck for chat. There's very few non-gay clientele, is what I'm saying, that hire the male prostitutes. Okay? I'm just being honest. So the prostitutes are not all gay. They don't certainly identify as, they do gay stuff, but they don't all identify as gay. See, I'm very into the current politically correct way of talking about these things. They do gay stuff, but they don't identify as gay. Like, you could be a straight boy and you could easily do gay stuff and go to bed at night and fantasize about tits. You'll never fantasize about men, and so you won't be gay, but you could do gay. Other people will be like, oh, this is the gayest guy I've ever seen. Look at him sucking all those dicks. That's not what gay means. That's just doing gay stuff. Yeah, by definition, it's kind of gay to have sex with men, but that doesn't mean you're gay off the clock when you're not doing those acts. Yeah, it's a gay action, but an action, that's not a person. The people that are doing those gay things are not all gay. Gay is in the heart. It's what you go to bed fantasizing about. It's what you jerk off to. It's what you want to fall in love with. It's what you know. So anyway, so I'm very progressive. I don't like to call myself progressive, but because it's a very like toot your own horn. It's a very like, oh, I'm so progressive. Like, but I like to keep up to date on the correct way of terming these things. Because like, I'm not trying to offend people by talking about this business model and this legitimate business, because I don't do it illegal. I do it in Nevada. Where it's completely legal to own and operate. Hopefully not just own. I want to operate it too. A brothel. And so it's very like I don't want to make it sound easy, because it's not easy to run a brothel. The cleaning, that part's just not that hard actually. Like, the maids of the brothel, that's the problem, is the maids, some of them are pretty hot. But I can't force them to be prostitute, because that would be like bad. The bad kind of human trafficking. That would be like the naughty kind that you hear about on the news. No, we can't force the maids to partake in that part of the operation. They're not part of the operation. They're just hired guns to clean the mess that was made by the sex traffickers. They're just, they're just kind of like a third party. They're not like on payroll. We use a third party service. So they're not even under the banner of what we do. They come and go. I'm just saying that some of them are pretty good looking. Some of them were human trafficked, and they are escaping that by being maids. That's why they're hot. See, this is where it gets very like controversial. It's like some of these women that are here that came from Mexico are like pretty attractive, doing hard labor because they are staying under the radar to avoid being human trafficked. Get it? But then they meet somebody who's it only takes a couple of weeks for them to meet a Gentile, an American man who's like, oh, you're too hot. You're hot enough to not do hard labor. So it only lasts a couple months, but that's how you know that there's something going on. If there's a hot maid in her 20s or 30s, they're obviously escaping the cartels. So I don't, that's none of my business. I have no dealings or connections with the cartels. Anyway, that's something I mean, if somebody accuses me of that, that is completely out of left field. That is completely like out of line. Well, when it comes to sex trafficking, sure, that's sort of a cartel, right? And I'm into that. That in Vegas where it's legal. Not Vegas. Okay, Reno, if you really want to know, because Reno is like the little brother of Vegas, and it's very underrated. Not just in the sex trafficking and the everything else that you go there to do, but the weather is actually like perfect there year round. Like it gets as hot as like 80s maybe in the summer, and then it gets cool at night. And so you're never really complaining about the weather in Reno. It doesn't get that hot. You think, oh, it's Nevada, it gets super hot. No, it's North Nevada. It gets actually pretty cold up there, but not super cold. It's always just like, okay, I'm going to wear a hoodie. I'm going to wear like a light jacket at night. So that's why I like it. We decided, we in my brothel, it's pretty much exactly how you'd picture it. It's old. It kind of looks like an old haunted house. Like it's very creaky. Like it's just like a 2-story Victorian style house. Exactly what you're picturing when you picture my brothel. And we take walk-ins, but to be working at the brothel, that's super exclusive. To work in the agency that I'm talking, like I have more than just the brothel. I have the agency too. That's even bigger than the operation that I'm talking about. The brothel is like a cute little mom and pop operation. The agency is way bigger than Nevada. I can't go into details because then I might incriminate myself. But the agency, let's just say, goes a little more than just one little... Yeah. So anyway, you can't get into that sex trafficking outfit unless you're hot, unless you're natural, and willing to fuck really ugly dudes, and don't complain about it to them. You could complain about it off the clock, but obviously no client, unless they're into that, wants to be told that they have an ugly dick. And you will, so we take walk-ins. I don't know why. Okay, do I have to keep talking about this? Can we move on? So anyway, I'm too old for shirts, for t-shirts. Like I'm not too old for shirts. I'm too old for t-shirts, so that's why I'm wearing like a nice button collar, which is wrinkly. I'm not old enough to start learning how to iron yet, but I am old enough to stop wearing t-shirts because it doesn't go with the mullet. Like this is a very Western style look that I'm going for with the handlebar mustache and soul patch. So I'm trying to get more Western shirts, and I looked up black Western shirts, but not the crazy kind with the laces all over with the super contrasting tones. No, I like a simple collared button down with a little bit of flair, a little bit of embroidery on the side. Just two symmetrical, iconic little things on the side. And I didn't have many options, so I found two that I like, but they're only in large, not my size. So I scoured the internet, and there's only one store that had that, and they're not made anymore. I was like, how hard is it to find a Western shirt in that style? It's like, apparently it's pretty hard to find unless maybe I go on. So that's a very boring topic to end on. Why am I talking about real life? So anyway, we'll end on this. Who cares? SBF, one of my heroes. Is he a hero? He's a hero in terms of CEOs of companies that made him a lot of that. He's a billionaire. He was a billionaire under the age of 30. Now, since I last talked about him, he's in jail. I thought he wasn't going to go to jail again because, he's a billionaire. Why would a billionaire go to jail if they didn't rob other billionaires? He didn't. He robbed, random people. Who cares? Who weren't powerful enough to actually go after him. But he's in jail for some reason. I also heard that he doesn't have access to his billions anymore. They took it away. They froze his assets. And that hurts to go from being a decibillionaire, like somebody worth more than 10 billion, to being worth, he said in his bank account, I don't even know how he has access to even a bank account, but he said, I guess before he was in jail, he had $100,000 in his bank account, and that's it. Can you imagine going from having 10 billion to only 100,000? So he must be the most depressed person on the planet. So I don't have any sympathy for people that don't have sympathy for him. People that talk about how he deserves what he is going through and is a criminal and should be in jail forever. Yeah, I think he's paid a big enough price by just giving up the money. I think that's a big enough punishment. He'll never do anything wrong again.
Maybe, I mean, he probably will, but like not anything that will get, hopefully he won't get caught. I don't know. I just think to go from 1 billion to 100,000 is the worst punishment you could put somebody through. Even worse than like death. By far, it's worse than like solitary confinement even. So that would just be like who cares? Like, because he's never gonna get that back. He's never gonna go from 100K to 10 billion because he's already had it. So the only way to get it back would be to do something even more illegal. Because he's already probably going to be banned. Like, I don't know, if he's a felon. I just feel really bad for the guy because if I lost that much money, I would feel worse than poor. If you're poor and you've never been rich, that's way not as bad as being rich and now being poor. And 100K, that's poor. Relative to 10 billion, 100K is poor. Because the lifestyle creep. Now he can barely afford a car and a house. He can't even afford those two things. Can't even afford like a down payment on a car and a house. Maybe one or the other. He can afford to lease a car and to rent an apartment for a few months. I feel really, so that's poor. I'm sorry. That's like worse than being living on a dirt floor in a dirt floor house in sub-Saharan Africa, in the middle of the Congo with bonobos. That's worse than that. Relatively worse, because that's all they know. If you're born there, that's all you know. If you're born in wherever he was born and you're like this huge rich guy. So not enough people see it from that angle, and so that's why I brought it up, is because I see things clearly. Because I'm not anything like him. I've never run an illegal business. I've never scammed people to that degree. It's in the billions. I've only scammed people in like the hundreds. I don't think I've scammed people. Anyway. So he shouldn't go to jail. Andrew Tate went to jail. He had a great time in jail, it seemed like. He smoked a bunch of cigarettes. He lifted weights. And that's pretty much all that happened in the past month since I last did this. Biden, somebody wants to impeach him, and they tried to put out news. They told the media conglomerate, they told the media machine to try to make it sound bad. And then Hunter Biden got indicted for a gun charge, a couple gun charges. And like, how about he just got charged? Why does it have to just be indicted? I mean, can't we skip to just the charge? It's not like a major white-collar crime here. We're not talking like a political crime. Why would we have to use these fancy words? Just say he got charged. I don't get it. But anyway, that was a good episode. This is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any thoughts or prayers, send them to the nearest hole in the wall, and then caulk it up and chalk it up to fantasy, because I don't want to hear it. No, just kidding. Thanks for watching. Have a good piece of the week. Have a good rest of the week, y'all. Peace in the Middle East.